The ultimate betrayal or the greatest act of love? What would you do if you had to choose between loyalty to your father or saving your spouse's life? In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal how one woman's quick thinking and incredible deception changed the course of biblical history forever. This isn't just another Bible story. This is a tale of political intrigue, deadly jealousy, and a desperate plan that could have failed at any moment. Stay until the end to discover the shocking aftermath that most people never talk about. Imagine this. King Saul, once a mighty ruler chosen by God himself, is now consumed by paranoia and rage. His target? None other than David, war hero, musician, and the king's own son-in-law. The same David who defeated Goliath is now running for his life from the very king he served faithfully. But there's someone caught in the middle, Michal, King Saul's daughter and David's wife. When soldiers surround their home in the dead of night, she makes a decision that will either save her husband or condemn them both. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would Michal betray her own father, the king? That's exactly what makes this story so fascinating. Their relationship wasn't simple. Michal loved David, but she was also a princess, with royal duties and expectations. Her father had given her to David in marriage after David brought back 100 Philistine foreskins as a bride price. Yes, you heard that right. And we'll circle back to that disturbing detail in just a moment. When Saul's jealousy of David's popularity reached its breaking point, he sent messengers to David's house to watch him and kill him in the morning. Michal, aware of her father's deadly plan, warned David, "If you don't escape tonight, tomorrow you'll be dead." This is where Michal's genius comes into play. She helped David escape through a window, but she knew the soldiers would check their home by morning. She needed time for David to get far away before anyone realized he was gone. So what did she do? She grabbed a household idol, placed it in their bed, and covered it with clothes. She even attached goat hair to the idol to make it look like David's head. When the soldiers came, she told them David was sick and couldn't come out. I've often wondered, what was going through Michal's mind in those tense moments? Was her heart pounding as she arranged this dummy in their bed? Did she rehearse the lies she would tell the soldiers? One wrong word, one suspicious glance, and everything would fall apart. You're probably asking yourself the same question I did when I first studied this story. Why did Mikal have a household idol in the first place? Weren't the Israelites forbidden from worshiping idols? This reveals something fascinating about the religious practices of the time. Even in the household of King Saul, who supposedly followed God's law, there were still connections to older pagan traditions. The Bible doesn't gloss over these contradictions. It shows us real people living messy, complicated lives. When Saul discovered the deception, he confronted his daughter. "Why have you deceived me like this and sent my enemy away so that he escaped?" Michal's response is brilliantly calculated. She claimed David had threatened her. "Let me go! Why should I kill you?" She portrayed herself as another victim of David's, not his accomplice. Think about the courage this took. Michal was literally lying to the face of the most powerful man in the nation, her father, who had already shown he was willing to kill to get what he wanted. She risked everything for David. But here's the part of the story most people don't know. What happened to Michal afterward? The Bible tells us that Saul gave Mikal to another man named Paltiel. Years later, when David became king, he demanded her back, tearing her away from a husband who loved her deeply. The Bible describes Paltiel following behind Mikal, weeping, until he was forced to return home without her. What's most heartbreaking is that after David reclaimed Mikal, their relationship was never the same. The Bible records a bitter confrontation where Mikal criticized David for dancing publicly in celebration, and David harshly rebuked her. The final note on Michal's life is devastating, and Mikal, daughter of Saul, had no children to the day of her death. The woman who saved David's life ended up childless and caught between two men who used her as a political pawn. Her act of courageous deception ultimately cost her everything. So what can we learn from Michal's story? First, sometimes the greatest acts of love require tremendous sacrifice. Mikal chose David over her father and her royal position, knowing the risks. Second, even biblical heroes lived complicated lives. David, the man after God's own heart, had a marriage that ended in bitterness and resentment. The Bible doesn't present us with perfect people. It shows us flawed humans struggling to do the right thing. Finally, Michal's story reminds us that history is often written by the winners. David became the celebrated king, while Michal faded into a footnote. But for a brief, crucial moment, the entire trajectory of biblical history rested in her hands as she crafted a dummy from household items and told the lie that saved David's life. I'd love to hear what you think about Michal's choice. Would you have done the same in her position? Was her loyalty to David worth the price she paid? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, hit that like button and subscribe for more biblical deep dives that explore the complex, messy, human stories behind the verses. Next week, I'll be uncovering the shocking story of Jael, the woman who invited an enemy general into her tent and then drove a tent peg through his head. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.